Here we are, we're live. Sorry we're a little late here, having some technical difficulties, trying to get the pictures off of Mark's computer of the last month of bridge construction here, but maybe we can start with change that we're going to have moving forward into next year, and I guess probably just for the rest of the project. Wouldn't you say, Mark? We're going to change to Tuesday, the first Tuesday of every month?
Yep, if that would work for everyone.
That works better for Mark's schedule. It works for mine to do it noon, first Tuesday of every month for these updates. So changing off of the Wednesdays, and we'll get that publication and get it out on the Channel 6 and make sure we get that advertised. If you could make sure to get that in the Chamber's newsletter, that change, so that would help. Thank you. With that, we got a lot of stuff going on right now, trying to get ready here, wrapped up for the winter. So I'm going to turn it over to Mark to kind of talk about what we've done this past month and where we're at right now, because we're struggling to try to get road built and things put back together before freeze up here. So I'll let you jump into it here, Mark.
Okay, well, I'll start with some of the things that have been completed on the bridge, at least on the river bridge. Contractor has completed all of the drilled shafts now, so they poured the second drilled shaft at Pier 1 on Monday afternoon, so that's complete.
Pier 1 being the Minnesota side pier,
by ADM there.
Yep.
At Pier 2, they poured the concrete seal in the bottom of the coffer-dam, and I believe they started pumping that out the other day, so soon we should be seeing a leveling pour down at the bottom, and well, they're going to start having to clean up the drilled shafts, and then they'll do a footing pour eventually here. On the last two spans of the bridge on the north side, they did the deck pour last Tuesday, I think it was. So that's currently curing out. It's a 14-day cure, so contractors required to maintain 60 degrees for the concrete to cure out properly. So they're over there heating that right now.
Okay.
And that'll probably be it for deck pours this year. I think with the weather forecast, I don't think you'll see any of the other ones being done.
So from the Wisconsin abutment to the to Pier 3, is all the deck?
No, they poured half of that.
They poured half of that.
They
okay.
poured about 600 yards on last Tuesday.
Okay. So there's still more of that decking to go, of course. Then we got from Pier 3 to Pier 2, and then Pier 2 to Pier 1, which is the main span across the river, and then Pier 1 to the abutment, which is the launching of the tub girders on the Minnesota side across the railroad tracks. Maybe give us an update on that. I heard in a meeting this week that the contractor's engineer is putting together a launching plan for that operation?
Yeah, that's what he said, and we really haven't seen anything else from them yet, so we don't really know what their plan is, other than the meeting we had yesterday where they talked about bringing in the portion of the girders that sit on Pier 1, and they'll be bringing those in on truck and setting them from the road there by ADM.
Okay. And that's the steel girders that are the kind of the main span girders. So if you think about it, from the abutment to Pier 1 across the railroad tracks are those steel tubs, and then of course the steel tubs across the river.
Yep.
And then those same tubs go from Pier 2 to Pier 3.
Right.
On the Wisconsin side.
Yep, that's correct.
And then where you're working that deck pour is from Pier 3 back to the Wisconsin abutments, from Pier 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, and then to the abutment.
Yep, and they did spans, I think 6 and 7. So those are the two that were poured.
Those are the two that were poured, okay.
And they'll do the following two in the spring, probably.
Okay. How about an update, Mark, on the box culvert on the Wisconsin side, where we're at with that?
The water's still pretty high over there. I think they're going to start pumping that out, and I haven't seen much on that yet, so should be a little bit. Hopefully we'll get something done here eventually.
Yeah.
Before everything freezes.
And then the monitoring on the surcharge, are things with the wick drains where I've had a lot of questions about that large pile of dirt on the Wisconsin side. Is it settling the way as expected, or is there some things that aren't quite as expected with that?
No, I think everything's going as expected. We're just waiting to see how things work out, and hopefully that settlement or that surcharge can come off prior to the year deadline or the year time.
Okay. And that time, sometime next year, then that to be graded and get road built on that on the Wisconsin side.
Right.
Okay.
Then maybe over here on this side, we're grading work. Right now, they're focusing on getting Bluff Street from 4th into the Red Wing Shoe parking lot. I think that's their priority right now. Hopefully they'll get some curb and gutter and some paving in there within the next week or so. Temperatures don't look good, but that's kind of a commitment, a contract commitment they have to make. They're also working on the subcut on 3rd Street between Plum and Potter, and hopefully they'll, I don't know how far they're going to get on that with the temperatures, but I think they're going to get their ped ramps in at Plum Street and hopefully maybe some more, but I'm not sure what
there's
the weather.
There's a lot of weather dependent. I'm much more familiar with the work going on the Minnesota side here, as I've been talking with business owners and people around the project area. The plan is if we get this weather to cooperate, we can get some things done. The plan is to have Bluff Street put back together along with the 4th Street intersection of Bluff, and then pave a curb and gutter and pave that all the way into the Red Wing Shoe parking lot, and have their parking lot paved as well and curb and guttered. So that would all be complete and drivable for the winter. And then on the 3rd Street is to only do half of it, correct, Mark? Is to do the half toward Knutson and Carmel's with a paving lift and curb and gutter on that half of the street. And the other half, which would be the Marie's Red Wing Shoe parking lot side, would be left until next year to finish curb and gutter off and paving on 3rd Street. So we'd have part of it open to kind of get an access back to Knutson, which has been out of, has not had an access point, all winter, along with the, I believe there's the apartments right there in the corner by our little park that's on the city park on the corner. So trying to get something back to those, along with a temporary walkway to Knutson and Carmel. And then concentrate on getting the crosswalks done on the Marie's parking lot side and the other side. So as of right now, we've just got we have no ramps or crosswalks there, so that was we're trying to get that permanently put back together so you can walk down Plum Street and not have to cross over to Liberty side to get around that, or walk through the mud right now. That's frozen mud that's kind of out there. So there's a push here. We're looking for good weather, hoping for good weather to get things put back together, but that's maybe next week. It looks like we might have a little bit of a chance to build roads, so we're working at it. So
we're hopeful.
We're hopeful, yep. Any other Minnesota side updates as far as the retaining walls and footings being poured? I know there's that work going on as well.
I think that'll probably continue throughout the winter as what conditions permit, yeah.
Okay.
We'll keep working on that, but I think the focus for Zenith is going to be getting Pier 1 and Pier 2 done so they can set their tub girders before the river opens in March.
Okay. One other thing we've been coordinating with, we have a project, the city has a levee park improvement project. We're going to be adding some sheet piling along, extending the levee wall to allow for the river boats, to have 2 of them there and be able to be a long sheet pile the whole way. If you remember down there, the sheet pile ends and then we have a riprap slope kind of going toward ADM. We're going to extend that. We have funding to do that. And that's a project we're putting together for this winter to work on. But we need to coordinate with the bridge project as well, because they're building Pier 1, and that's kind of their haul road, access road is coming in through our park. So we had a meeting this week, and we're going to be meeting again to put together a coordination plan between our contractors to make sure that we can do both projects and get them done through the winter here. So I know Pier 1 is probably a little bit behind, and we would have been hoped to be further along and they wouldn't need quite as much access, but that looks like we're gonna have to coordinate to get that Pier 1 kind of coming up out of the ground, correct?
Right, and then have access for those tub girders to get back in there too, to set over the pier.
Yeah. So you mentioned the work jumping back over to Pier 2 with the pouring of the seal and then trying to bring that up out of the river. On Pier 1, there's a cofferdam, but we don't need to pour a seal on that, correct?
Correct.
Because we're kind of up on that edge of...
Right up on your
edge of the riprap or edge of the land right there.
Right.
So are they going to pour the plinth? Is that?
I believe that's what's next, right?
So kind of part of
kind of a footing type
footing
thing.
that sticks up out of the riprap there, and they'll work on that at the same time they're working on Pier 2, or do they have?
Pier 1 is, like I said, is their priority, so they'll work there, but I think they'll have to stage and work at both areas. Okay. Work back and forth.
Also, something interesting, there's a contractor working some double shifts. They talked about that a little bit yesterday.
They have talked about that. I think their goal is to work mostly daylight hours themselves, but they hope to have the subcontractor that's doing the rebar work to do double shifting to get their rebar all up and done, so they can work during the daytime and get their forms up and get their next concrete pour moving forward.
Okay. And we've talked a little bit about, yesterday I talked to Zenith about the lane closures on 61, where we have right lane closures. And I was just curious, is that something that's planned like all winter long? And it sounds like if things line up, they would look to try to have that pulled by the end of December as a possibility. We'll know more in the coming weeks of where they're at. Is that what you've heard as well?
And I believe they're going to open that up for Thanksgiving too.
They are going to get it back.
Mentioned that in the meeting yesterday.
So 2 lanes in each direction and have it back open. Okay. So that'll be good. It's just one of those things that there's extra signage in the downtown area to do the lane shift, and it causes a little bit of congestion at peak times, and people all trying to get in the left lane and then having to scurry back over to get over onto the button hook and get over the bridge. So it'd be nice to get that pulled when they don't need to have that right lane closure anymore. So anything else you can, moving forward, you want to kind of talk about maybe where you see things, I mean, maybe schedule-wise, so we could, overall schedule, we look at the 3-week schedule every week with the contractor. What's the talk of actually, is it still next fall with the main river, the new river bridge open?
That's their plan. I mean, that's contractually contractual requirement to be open next, I think it's September or something, I don't remember the date, but.
So, okay.
And then once they get that open, they'll work on completing I believe they have to finish some work on the button hook to have it aligned with the new bridge, with the new 61 bridge there. Okay. And they'll do all that road work sometime probably in 2020, and I think there's some work on 61 underneath the bridges that has to be done as well. And then of course they'll look at pulling out both the temporary bridge and the old river crossing bridge sometime 2020.
So, okay. And then, of course, that there's all the other things that go along with finishing a project, landscaping and the plantings and the trees and all of the aesthetic work that goes inside of the button hook and things like that. So, yeah, the utility work was on the Minnesota side with the sewer and water and the storm sewer. There was a lot of coordination. We worked with Red Wing Shoe extensively on their plant 1 and making connections to their sanitary and to their sprinkler protection system and their numerous roof drains that they've got coming off that were in different spots, and we didn't know some were combined. So it was a struggle to get through that 2 blocks of utilities this year, but everything's done and turned back on, and all the testing is passed, and we're trying to build road, and it took a little longer to get the utilities done. So here we are trying to get road in here before it freezes up, and we're hoping for some good weather in the coming weeks here to finish things up. So I know we're having trouble getting any pictures off of this, so I guess we'll open it up to any questions. We don't have anything we try to give a good update on where we're at and have a few people in the audience, but I've just actually, it's not only this project. I've been out this morning on both of the other City of Red Wing projects out on Spring Creek Road and our city recon up on Bush Street, 9th Street, 10th Street, and 11th Street. And we're really struggling to get things put together. So we're hoping for some good weather and we can get people back in their driveways and get curb and gutter and paving done. So that's where we're at with that. And again, I want to remind everyone we're going to go to the first Tuesday of every month at noon for updates. And Mark, are you thinking we could just keep doing these through the winter for now?
Sure, we certainly can.
I think so. We got some things to talk about, especially I can see December we'll know where we're at with what roads we got built, I guess. So I think we should probably plan on that for sure. And if we look at it and suspend it for January or February or something, we'll see what other work is going on, and we can play it by ear from then. So let's plan on that. That would be December. What's the first Tuesday here, date-wise?
Looks like the 4th.
The 4th, December 4th at noon, right here at City Council Chambers, and we'll see you back here. Thanks for coming.